So let's begin. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Honor to the Sublime One, the Worthy One, the Fully Enlightened One. I was doing some walking meditation this morning, as I often do. As I often do while I'm doing my walking meditation, I came up with the topic for today. Um, I think I see some people. Actually, I think I remember everybody. Roxanne, I do know. I remember you a couple times. Trimble, I'm not sure. I'm not really good with names. Vivid, welcome. Well, good. So that means that I'll give an introduction. Okay. So my name is Jayantha, which is my Pali name actually. My original name here on Second Life was Ferox, and I've been with Buddhist Center here just about a little under 2 years. It'll be 2 years in December. I am a 34-year-old lay Buddhist disciple of the Theravada tradition. A lay Buddhist is somebody who is not a monk, not a master, or anything of that sort. I'm just a regular Buddhist, or as we would call a regular follower of Dhamma. And what I do here every Tuesday is a Dhamma talk. And I also do a few other things. I do a metta meditation and the basics of Buddhism class on Sundays. But tonight we do a Dhamma talk, and what a Dhamma talk is traditionally is a first section, which is where the person who is a teacher or a monk gives a talk regarding something related to Dhamma, which is basically the teaching, the truth of reality. And the second part is usually reserved when a monk is talking for questions. Since I'm not a monk and I like to do things a little bit differently, you can feel free to ask questions, make comments at any time during this discussion here in the next hour. Never feel that you will be interrupting or anything like that. If you have a question or you'd like to make a comment. So, this morning while I was doing my meditation, I decided that I wanted to talk about judging and judgment. And that term is something that is a little bit different in Buddhism compared to, say, Christianity or Catholicism if you grew up in the West with that. And I wanted to discuss that, and especially when it comes to Buddhism. One of my favorite quotes from the suttas is this, and I'll actually post it. Here we are. This is the Sonna Sutta from the Samyutta Nikaya. Sona the householder. Whatever recluses and Brahmins, Sona, hold views about the body which is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and subject to change, such as, I am better than you, I am equal, or I am worse. Likewise, the same with feelings, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. That's the five aggregates. What else are they but folk who do not see things as they really are? But whatever recluses and Brahmins do not hold such views, what else are they but those who see things as they truly are? Think about it this way. I am better than you. That's an easy one for us to think. Yeah, that's kind of conceitful and braggish. I am worse than you. That's something that we also deal with. People who have depressions or low self-esteem. Oh, they're better than me. But I am equal to you. That's something that's a little different, because we're taught, everybody's equal. But the Buddha says that's conceit as well. That's wrong view. Why would that be? The reason being is because it is still judging. And in Buddhism, what we're trying to do is not judge at all. Yes, because it is in relation to an I, an ego. If there is no ego, there's nothing to judge. But that's a little bit of an advanced topic that we can maybe discuss another time. But, so judgment. When we are in our daily lives, we do a lot of judging. And scientists and people will talk about how the reason our mind judges, categorizes, and all this, it's a survival mechanism, right? We had to know on the fly when we were, early types of humans, or even before that, in the process of evolution. We had to know, we had to judge that dangerous, that good. And that's how we have developed over time. And that's how we have this categorization where we categorize, and which categorization is basically judging. It's judging where something should be in whatever category. So this is the scientific view of why we judge, why we categorize. Now, from a Buddhist point of view, I'm going to bring up the same thing that I always bring up, that people like evil. And welcome, Delani. It's good to see you. It's been a long time since we've been on the sim together. I didn't notice you there. So people like evil and JT have heard me say this many, many times. When we judge, what are we doing? When we judge, we have likes and dislikes, right? I like this person. I dislike this person. Likes and dislikes are what? Likes are cravings, attachments. And dislikes are hatreds, aversions. There's a saying in the kitchen at Bhavana Society, the forest monastery that I go to, and it says, "Life is difficult for those who pick and choose." And that's basically what that's talking about. When you have these attachments and aversions to things, I like this person, I dislike this person. I like this car, I dislike this car. I like this feeling, I dislike that feeling. When you have these judgments, then you will always have dukkha. You always have suffering. You always have loss. And these judgments, these attachments and aversions, they come from delusion, not seeing things as they truly are. They come from ignorance. Ignorance in Buddhism is not knowing the Four Noble Truths as they truly are. The Four Noble Truths being dukkha, the cause of dukkha, the cessation of dukkha, and the path leading to the cessation of dukkha. Dukkha obviously being translated mostly as suffering, but there's no one good meaning. So when we do our meditation practice, we see how much we judge. We see it because we see it as we start to observe our mind. We even start to observe, when we observe our mind and we observe the thoughts that come in, we make these judgments. Oh, damn, you're not supposed to be thinking. Stop thinking. this negative judgments on your thoughts, or you had a thought like that makes you embarrassed, or like maybe a sexual thought or something like that, and we make a judgment of that, and we don't like, oh, why do I think that way? I'm supposed to be a Buddhist who's meditating and this and that, and I'm thinking about this and all these different things. That is judging. And what we're trying to do in our meditation practice is to just observe. Observe objectively. Objectively meaning without any, without any judgment, without any categorization, without any I like this thought, I dislike this thought. We are observing just what is happening in that moment of mindfulness. Now that's hard. We don't do that off the top of our head. It takes practice. When you are a beginning meditator, you won't necessarily maybe even see that you're making judgments, that you're making likes and dislikes of even just the thoughts that come into your head. But the more you meditate, the more you start to see these judgments. For instance, you might even not even just judge your feelings and thoughts, but also your body posture. Oh, I'm supposed to be in this posture. I'm supposed to be following the breath. One of my biggest things, when I first started meditating, and I had so much trouble meditating, I judged myself based on what I was read as to what I was supposed to be doing in my meditation practice. Sit up straight, arms this way, follow the breath, in and out, in and out. And I couldn't do that. And because I couldn't do that, I judged myself harshly. And I was filled with negativity to the point where I quit meditation. Now, I would say it's been probably about 10 years since I first started meditation. But it's only been in the last 4 where I've been able to come to peace, to be able to let go, and to solidify a regular meditation without negativity, or without much negativity, not negativity that keeps me from my meditation. And I learned to let go and to just observe. If I couldn't follow my breath, that was fine. I just observed whatever happened. My motto is, if it exists, you can observe it. If you can't follow your breath, that's fine. You're not a bad meditator. You're not there's no need to make judgments on yourself. And judging ourselves is something that we are very, very good at. Most people, especially, we're raised these days to not judge others, but we're not raised to not judge ourselves either. We're judging ourselves left and right. You should have did this. You should have done that. I should have did this. So we bring that to our meditation practice. And if you do that long enough, you realize that it's very futile. All it does is hurt your meditation practice. When what you're supposed to be doing, and it took me a long time to learn this, and I was lucky enough to find monks like Ajahn Brahm, like Ajahn Chah, like Bhante Ji, monks who taught that letting go is the key, like the simile of the cup. Simile of the cup video, Ajahn Brahm teaches that meditators, we hold the cup and we try with our concentration to still that cup, like stilling our mind. And because we're forcing it, because we're judging it, we're trying to will it to happen, it doesn't stay still. What do? You put the cup down, and it might be it might be chaotic at first. The water will be sloshing all over, but then it grows still. So when you start to learn how to do that in your meditation, you will see very clearly when you judge. I like this thought, I dislike that thought. I like this feeling, I dislike that feeling. And that's another level of your progress as you're progressing. The only way to stop judging yourself and others is to see things as they truly are, right? You can be taught to force yourself not to judge, but in your mind, if you're truthful with yourself, you still judge. That person's ugly. That person's mean. That person is beautiful, so I'm jealous of them. That person is... All we do when we're taught in school, when we're taught in society to not judge, all we're doing is suppressing. We're keeping these judgments in our mind. They don't go away. How they truly go away is through meditation practice. Both regular meditation, Vipassana, insight meditation, and Anapanasati, mindfulness of breath, but also metta meditation, developing equanimity for all beings. So this is how we truly eradicate this judgment from the mind. And it's not something that happens overnight. And it's not something that really happens until you become enlightened. And I'm nowhere near that, so I can't speak of that from experience. But what I can speak of from experience is the practice lessens your judgment. Because when you start to observe and you see that you judge, and you don't judge that you're judging, then you judge less. When you observe, in the beginning you see that, oh, I shouldn't be judging that way. I shouldn't think that way. And what you're doing is you're judging your judgments. And that's not good either. What you're always, at whatever level of observation there is, you just observe. So you observe a thought, right? But then you have a judgment of that thought. So you observe the judgment of the thought. You're observing the deeper levels, and you start to see how the mind operates deeper and deeper and deeper. Bhante G in Mindfulness in Plain English talks about how as you develop your practice, you get to even see deep into the subconscious. I don't know if I can personally claim to be able to do that yet, but I can see the more you practice, the more levels of thought back you can see. And what I mean by that is you have a final thought or a final physical action, but if we're not mindful, we don't see the reason why we did that action, the judgments that came into our mind. Let's say if we were mean to somebody or we said a comment that hurt somebody, we don't see the mind processes, the 6 or 7 or 8 or however many steps of that process that led to that action. What we're doing in meditation is observing things as they truly are. We are seeing that process. And when you see that process, you're able to cut that process off when you see something that is arising that's not beneficial to yourself and others. That's unskillful to yourself and others. So therefore, you're less likely to perform an action that is harmful to others. You're less likely to judge somebody and less likely to judge yourself. Now, just to continue on an aside in terms of our meditation practice, we're also less likely to judge our meditation practice. In our meditation practice, things come up a lot of things I've never experienced, but when people talk to me about their practice, they talk about seeing visions and having beings come to them and all these things. And every teacher that I've ever listened to, every monk, every meditator I've ever listened to, they say no matter what happens, you don't want to get attached to it. You don't want to judge it. You don't want to make it more than it is. And it's hard to do that because you have these experiences. Wow, like it's such an amazing experience that you want to know more about it. You want to think more about it. You want to know where it comes from. For instance, those of you who have heard me talk, you know my story of what I consider my first breakthrough in mindfulness, where I was doing my walking meditation, and my mind wanted to sing, so I just let it sing. Whatever was happening, whatever my mind wanted to do, I let it do it. So my mind was singing "Sweet Caroline" by, I think it's Neil Diamond. I always mess up the guys, whoever sings it. So in my mind singing as I'm just doing my walking meditation, and all of a sudden I notice there's no singing, there's no thought, there's nothing. And I kind of get like excited, but it's weird because there's no thought. So it's like, oh, what's this? What's this like experience? It's amazing. And it lasted maybe about, I would say, 20-30 seconds. And it was such a feeling, such a thing that I said, wow, this is amazing. This is real, such an experience. Is this what mindfulness is all about? Are enlightened beings like this 24/7? Like, wow, this is amazing. And so I was asking, I asked the monks, like, what is this? What is this? And Bhante Ji, he said, whatever it is, it's just phenomena. You just observe it and let it go. And that was tough for me to do that because I was like judging it. It's like, oh, it was such a pleasant, nice experience, such a peaceful experience. Most people, they can't even go a second in their life without their mind mind thinking of something. So I kind of grew attached to that, and that's a judgment. That's making a judgment. I like that, and over time, I've come to just, it comes and goes. When it comes, it comes. When it goes, it goes. I try not to attach to it as it comes, and I try not to have a loss, a feeling of loss when it goes. You're just observing whatever occurs, whatever phenomena occurs. And this afternoon, when I was doing my walking meditation, I would say I had a next level of mindfulness. Again, I was doing my walking meditation and I wanted to sing. My mind wanted to sing, so I let it happen. And then silence in my mind. The monkey mind disappeared. And I just was with it, just observing, just allowing it to happen, not making any judgments. And all of a sudden I started realizing, wow, I'm still not thinking. I'm still not thinking. Why is my mind still clear? It's always like, why? Why is my mind still clear? It's just like weird. And it turned out that 15-20 minutes later, I still had no thoughts in my mind. And I still, underneath, I still had, wow, that's an excitement, that's amazing. But because of my training and because of my previous experiences, it was a lot easier for me to just observe and to just whatever happens. And when it went away, it just went away. I was like, okay. But I wrote down, as it was going away, I wrote down this, I don't know what it is. It's just I those of you who know, who've heard me talk before, you know I have a file, I have a journal of sorts of what I call Buddhist insights I found to never forget. So every time I feel like I have an insight or I learn something from a monk or so, I like to write it down. And I go through it every once in a while. And this is what I wrote. 9/25/12 walk. The monkey mind is quiet. So quiet for so long that you begin to question it. But who or what is questioning? You get confused as to whether there is a monkey mind part of the mind that is not you and a part that is you. The reason I say that is because, oh yes, big time our practice can become attachment. Look what I'm reading. I'm reading this thing that I read. But of course our practice can be an attachment. There's no doubt. Well, see, it's a weird feeling because you have thoughts, but it's conscious thoughts. Like you consciously, it feels like it's at a lower level. You're consciously thinking, but your mind is clear at the same time. So that's where I get this confusion. See, I don't see things as they truly are. I have this ignorance in me, so I get confused by these occurrences. So even though my mind is totally clear, nothing is coming, I guess from the subconscious, but consciously I can still think. It's a weird experience. It's something that I can't really explain. But I'll continue in that as you continue to walk and no thoughts come from your subconscious, but it appears that you can consciously observe and think at a lower or higher level about the experience. Even now as I write, 20 minutes into the silent monkey mind, I question, somehow. It feels as if I am not truly fully here, but that simultaneously I am truly here in mind and body, and the normal state of mind begins to slowly creep its way back in as you enter into the fray. So that was it. So, and that was just something, I was in complete mindfulness, or at least it felt like complete mindfulness when I wrote that, as the monkey mind was slowly coming back into my mind. Now, I judged that. I judged it because I wrote it down, right? I didn't just let it go. I felt like I needed to write something. So nobody's perfect. But am I judging myself because I wanted to write something and keep it forever? Keep it permanent in an impermanent world? Well, of course it'll be impermanent eventually. My cell phone will die or my computer will die and I'll lose it. Or if I print it out so I can keep it on paper, eventually maybe it'll burn or fade away or something. All things are impermanent. But as we are practicing, it's important to not get frustrated over our judgments. Judging is part of our normal mind that's filled with ignorance. So there's no point in judging your judging. There's no point in it at all because it doesn't get you anywhere. When you start, the more you see things as they truly are, the more there's no point in judging. And it comes natural. Everything that I've found important comes natural, comes without a conscious willing action. Dispassion comes natural with practice. Dispassion for things that other people hold dear, like having some feeling like you need somebody to love, feeling that you need to have a normal life, a normal job, a normal this. All of these things that people feel that are normal to you, you have dispassion for, and that comes as part of the practice. And when you start to have dispassion, there's less judging. Practice breeds less judging. That's why the Buddha, the number one thing in the suttas, the number one thing that the Buddha talks about, and the number one thing that I judge. See, this is judgment too. I like teachers who talk just about directly from the practice. And that's a judgment too. But like Bhante G, he talks about the same thing that the Buddha taught. Practice, practice, practice. Practice, practice. That's the most important thing, is the practice. And it is the most important thing, because nothing will change. You will not get anywhere without the practice. You cannot become enlightened without practice. You cannot change your life without practice. You cannot develop morality. You cannot develop a more beneficial life for yourself and others without practice. That's why it's called practice. If it was something easy, everybody could do it. We'd all be enlightened. And there would be no world, there would be no people. Everybody would do it. But specifically because it's hard, that's why it's important to do it. No problem. Thank you for coming. So this is why the practice is so important. And when it comes to the practice, you don't want to also judge time. Oh, I only can meditate for 5 minutes. I'm such a bad meditator. In the Anguttara Nikayas, when they talk with the numbers, there's always better X than Y, right? It says better one day lived mindfully than 100 years lived unmindfully. So I say better 5 minutes lived mindfully or practicing mindfulness and meditation than a year lived unmindfully. No matter how much you can do, the point is that you did it. If you are consistent and you do 2-3 minutes a day, it's better than somebody who does 20 minutes once a week. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to judge these aspects of your practice. The only thing that you need to do is to observe. That's it. It's like the analogy I use of watching the TV. You sit and you watch the TV. What do? There's nothing you can do. There's no smell-o-vision. It's not a video game. There's no interaction, right? You're just sitting and observing. So your mind, your thoughts, your body, it's like the TV. All you're doing is observing objectively. That's it. That's all you need to do. That is your job. Whatever happens, happens. You just observe it. You observe that you're judging. You observe that you're creating likes and dislikes. You observe that you're creating the attachments and the aversions. That's it. You don't worry about how much time you're doing it. You don't worry about, am I in the right position? This and that. You can go nuts thinking about different meditation positions. Is this the right position? Is that right? Believe me, I know this from experience. I still do this. I'm just still trying to find a position that's stable. So I can get into it where I can sit for 40 minutes and I wasn't mindful 1 second of that 40 minutes because I was thinking, well, okay, is my hands right? Is this the stable? And maybe for a couple seconds it feels stable, and then I start to, to lean over, or I start to do this, I start to that. You can go nuts just even worrying about that. But then when I sit there and I'm all slumped over, and I don't even care about my posture, it's just mindfulness. Now, after a short time, if you're all messed up, you start to get pains and stuff like that. But if you get to a deep enough mindfulness, then you just observe. So the best thing to do is to especially if you're a beginner meditator, is to not go nuts worrying about the time and the posture and all that. Even if you just sat in a chair or even lie down, as long as you don't fall asleep. And falling asleep is not going to help your mindfulness. As long as you don't need to think, oh, I need to be able to do a lotus posture or else I'm never going to make enlightenment. No. So when you start your meditation, or if you're in your meditation, all these judgments and beliefs regarding, oh, this is the proper way to do it, all you do is observe. I broke from the mindfulness of breathing, right? I couldn't breathe. I couldn't follow my breath without controlling it. I could observe that I can control it. It's very hard to totally not control your breath, where you are totally just observing, not controlling. This has been my experience as somebody who had very strong asthma as a child, and still a little bit asthma to this day. So I have this fear that I'm gonna stop breathing. I had sleep apnea too. When I weighed almost 400 pounds, I would stop breathing at night. So there's all kinds of negative feelings in my mind and fears of breathing. So what happened? I just mindfulness of breathing. Okay, bye mindfulness of breathing. All I did was just sat there, closed my eyes, and whatever happened, I observed it. Thoughts, I observed. Feelings, I observed. All of this stuff, I just observed it. Now, I'm getting to the point where I can actually start to follow the breath. And when I can do that, it's beneficial. But if I can't follow the breath, I'm not worried about it. If my breath goes and I can't follow it, whatever. All I'm doing is just observing. So there's no judgments. Or at least an attempt at no judgments. I still have delusion, so therefore I still judge. But as I progress, I notice that I judge less. And that's the whole point. The Buddha, last week we talked about, the question came up, I forgot who asked it, about the gradual training. Buddha says the Dhamma, the practice, Noble Eightfold Path, it's a gradual training, right? You don't learn it all at once. Just the same, your practice is a gradual practice. All you need to do is sit and observe. Everything else comes with practice and time. I have confidence, or faith, however you want to put it, at this point that I know that all I need to do is practice. Insights will come at their own time. You can get addicted, like JT was talking about, you can get addicted to insights. Oh, I want more insights, I want more insights. And then you get mad because insights don't come. Or I've had the feeling in the past, like, wow, I'm a teacher. I'm supposed to be teaching people stuff. I'm supposed to be saying this. Where are these? I need more insights. How am I supposed to teach people if I can't get more insights? So, you have these thoughts that come in your mind. But I've come to the point where now I know that insights come when they come. All I need to do is practice. Whatever, there's no worrying, there's no judging, there's no attachments or aversions there. You do that at first, just like, it's the same thing with any kind of experience. The first time something happens, it's wow. Then after that, it's like, yeah, okay, I've seen it, I've done it before. My mind's not thinking, okay, I've done it. Now if my monkey mind grows silent for 15 minutes again, it's like, okay, yeah, I've been there before. If I get my monkey mind to be silent for an hour, then it's like, wow, an hour, holy moly. I'm still judging. It's like, ooh, this is cool. And then, like, after that, it's, again, I did it an hour already. I've been there, done that. So, It's all about the gradual practice. It's not something that's forced. You can be trained from birth. You should never judge. Don't judge a person based on the color of their skin or how good looking or ugly they are. All this stuff that you learn in school, that is just forced teaching that we learn intellectually to not bring out. But we still have this stuff in our mind. We just don't bring it out because we're taught that's hurtful to other people. But it's still there. And if it's in the mind, what do I say? Man no pubanga, man no setta, man no maya. The first line of Dhammapada. Mind is the forerunner of all things. If it's in the mind, it has the possibility of going to your actions, your thought, your speech, and your physical actions. So we want to eradicate that from the mind. Get it out of there in a non-judgmental way. So I think that's it for now. Any comments, questions at this point? Since I yapped on for about 40 minutes. Sure. I can never guarantee an answer, but I can at least attempt to put you in the right direction. Now we have at least 20 minutes, so ask away. And our talks always seem to go past. The last 3-4 times we've gone an hour and a half, so. What you're doing is you're being negative about our negativity. What you're doing is proving your own hatreds of humans. And what that is, and what you're doing is that because you are human. And what I mean by that is the only way you feel a desire, right, to want to put effort to changing that. Good to see you as always, Delani. Thank you for coming. So you want to put effort into changing that, right? And you think, how can I change that? You think, I know, I'll be an activist. I'll go out and I'll change the world. I'll do something. I'll stop dictators. I'll teach people how to do the right things. I'll do this. I'll do that. And what is that all? That is all external actions based on judgment, right? There's a great saying, and BioJerk, I will tell you 100%, I was as well. I was very involved politically. I was always been a big idealist. Always been a big idealist. Very strong feelings of justice and truth. So, I was a big idealist. But as my practice, as I develop my practice, I come to realize that these things are external. They are not something that you can change by doing something external and physical. The only thing that can change is in your own mind. So I've grown up, and I used to be a leader in the Libertarian Party. I don't know if anybody knows what a libertarian is, but libertarian is I'm very strong against the two-party system. I don't like Republicans or Democrats. I don't like this, I don't like that. I believe in total freedom, this kind of thing. And that desire led me to want to get into this party and to do this thing and to go out and be an activist and to try to help people and do this. And I feel like the time I was there, I did good stuff, but I came to realize that I'm fighting against a tsunami. And I came to realize that I had much agitation in my mind because of this, much aversion, much these people this, these people that, much aversion, and I came to the point where I felt, what's the point? Why am I doing this to myself? There's no reason to do that. Now, this is not me judging this. This is, and I don't judge you for how you feel about these things. But for me personally, this is what I came to find out in my own mind for myself. And when I came time to leave the party and stuff, people who understood me and understood where I was coming from, they understood why. It's like, that's a valid reason. We understand. Especially if you think that you're going to maybe become a monk. We kind of understand that you want to, that you don't want to be a part of this anymore. Even though I still support them monetarily and I still support them in my mind, but I don't feel the need to get out there and have disputation and to try to argue my point with others. Because when you try to argue, and you try to not even try to force your views on others, but try to even have a logical debate on why your view is better, there's still that conceit there. This view is better. This view is best. This is why it's best. Even in your mind, it's attachment and aversion. Yeah. That person's not living the right way. These kids today, you have an aversion to what you see happening around you, right? So, I understand what you mean by I had, growing up, I had a love-hate feeling for humanity. I still see that humanity has such capacity to be beneficial and skillful to each other. But I also see that humanity can control and destroy as well. And this is where I see, libertarians believe that government is control. Government is forcing people, where people can help each other. That's libertarians believe 100% that people can help each other and people can come up with the best ways to help each other and their fellow man. And that's basically full responsibility. In my perspective, there's a lot of similarities between libertarian views and Buddhist views. But I don't want to go into that here. But I feel that way. I feel that the only way to help humanity is to change that view in yourself. There's a great saying that the Buddha never changed the world. He made peace with the conditions in it. And when you make peace with the conditions in it, when you do not judge, when you take people for who they are and what they are, you are leading by example. You are creating a more positive and beneficial world for yourself and others. And that's not even by doing anything, just by existing as somebody who is practicing letting go. Just by existing. You see that. The more you practice, the more you see the people around you, they see that. And then they start to ask questions. And then they want to know more. And when you can help others by doing that, it's something that helps you as well. I personally feel like I get more out of doing this, doing what I do here at the Buddha Center, than others get out of it. And you know what? If I help others, if what I say, what I talk about is beneficial to others, that's great. But it's also beneficial to myself. And when we're doing metta meditation, we always know that we're giving metta to ourselves and to others. Baya, one of the things that I will say that the best thing for you to do is to do metta meditation. When you take equanimity, when you have feelings of loving friendliness for all beings, no matter what, when you're able to do that, you're breaking down this love-hate relationship with humans. You're breaking it down to developing this loving kindness, loving friendliness for all beings, regardless of who they are, where they're from, what they're made of. All beings and all beings that exist in all the universes, in the metaverse, everything, all of that. So if you're around, if you've never done meditation, I highly suggest coming back here in 2 days, around the same time. It's 6:30 SLT. No, wait, 5:30 SLT. And I highly suggest you attending that. Because when you see metta meditation, it'll help you to develop these feelings about all beings. So it's what the thoughts that you have are not abnormal. They are not bad, evil, or anything like that. They are perspectives and views based on your experiences of the world. But of course, our views and our perspectives are based out of ignorance, so we don't see things as they truly are, right? We have, I am better than this person, I am worse than this person, I am equal to this person. We do not see things as they truly are. Not in the slightest. But that's what the practice is for. So when you see the people who make you angry, make you the hate part of humanity, oh, these people are doing these bad things, or these people think so crazy, you start to, when through metta, you know that all beings like yourself wish to be well, happy, and peaceful. All beings. Even Adolf Hitler. Even Ted Bundy. Even the people that we have such hate for because they had hate for others. And they did horrible things, actions to others. Even these beings, they are nothing but beings who wish to be well, happy, and peaceful. That's it. And when you know this, the thoughts of the judgment of these beings is eradicated. It goes away. That's what metta is. That's why metta is so powerful. And that's why the Buddha taught metta as an integral part of his practice. Indifferent. I suppose that would be neither like nor dislike. They talk about that. There's the we like this feeling, we dislike this feeling, or we have feelings that we neither like nor dislike. And of course, those feelings that we neither, or those things that we neither like nor dislike, we just kind of ignore or we forget about because we don't like them, we don't dislike them. So whatever, they're just there in the void or whatever. So I guess that's where that the indifference would come from. Well, see, these kind of questions are conventional, conceptual things. It's interesting because when you want to think of the answer for these questions, you judge. Now, should I say this just to be nice? Should I say this to be truthful? And then you think about, if you have the 5 precepts, you're like, oh, should I lie? Should I not lie? Is it a white lie? Is it a skillful lie? Is it a positive lie? And then you start to think about, oh, well, the Buddha says that there's these 5 things that delineate whether you should say something or not. Is it beneficial? Is it said at the right time? Is it said with kindness? Is it, I'm trying to remember the other 2. So there's all these, like, you can go nuts thinking about, oh, should I say this or should I not say this, or how I should do that. But the best thing I would say is to just kind of go with your gut. Go with your feelings of what your mind does. Because something like that will come out of your mind, and it's not even necessarily something that you have control over. When it comes from your mind, the more you practice, the more the more beneficial the response will be. So, well, you can mean well, but you can say something that's not beneficial to somebody. See, that's what the Buddha talks about under right speech. And the Buddha talks about that you should only say something that covers all 5 of those things. It could be true, but if it's not beneficial, if it's not said at the right time, if it's not said in the right way, then you shouldn't say it. So it can get very complicated in terms of what you should say and how you should say it. So, but when people ask your opinion, it's okay to just say whatever's really in your mind. You don't have an opinion, or you don't think strongly one way or the other. Don't be afraid to think that you have to say something one way or the other because of based on what you think somebody will think about what you said, or what you think that they will react to it. And remember, it's okay to judge. We want to get away from these judging, but our mind is going to do that. And just because our mind judges doesn't mean that we're bad people, or that we're evil people, or, oh my God. Just because we do that doesn't mean that we should judge that we judge. Practice, practice, practice. Exactly. I came to an insight, to an analogy of our mind is like a lighthouse. Imagine a picture of a lighthouse in the darkness, in a dark, stormy night, and there's all these ships that need the lighthouse to survive, right? Our mind is like the lighthouse. The problem is our mind is like a lighthouse with mud all on the glass, so that maybe only little parts of the light come out here or there, little beams. And that's our mind, our deluded mind with delusion, hatred, greed, hatred, and delusion, right? As we practice, what we're practicing is, when we practice, it's like a guy up there, like the lighthouse keeper is up there with like a little chisel, and he's breaking out the dried mud, or he's getting the mud out little by little. And little by little, light starts to come out, until There is nothing blocking the glass until the lighthouse, until the light shines out like a sun at night, and all the ships can find their way to wherever they're going. That is, the Buddha talks about that. He says the one who practices, or something like that, the mind shines like the sun. Or the mind, the clear mind, the mind free of ignorance is like the full moon at night. These kind of analogies. So your mind, when you've reached that point where you've become enlightened, where there's no delusion left in you, you are that lighthouse that shoots its beam out clear for miles and miles. So until that point, does the lighthouse need the darkness? Huh. Interesting. I suppose not. Because your lighthouse, if it's free of impediments, it can be as bright as the sun. So it can be like a second sun. It doesn't need the darkness. No, I don't know. I don't know where I'm starting to give a little BSing with that answer. I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that question, if it is answerable. But huh. Okay. So that's like another level of the analogy, in a way. With the darkness being the corruption of the mind, of the ignorance, and with no darkness, you don't need the lighthouse. I guess that kind of works. And that's why when you are enlightened, the holy life is fulfilled. There is nothing more for this world. The holy life has been lived. And then so, yes. We would escape from I. There is nothing to escape from, because there is no person to escape. There is just causes and conditions. There is just thoughts. There is just form. There is just feeling. This feeling is impermanent, unsatisfactory, soulless. This feeling is not me, not mine, not myself. That is the 6 factors. The 6 factors are the 3 characteristics of existence, in that impermanent, unsatisfactory, and soulless. What is that? That's impermanence. We know what impermanence is. Unsatisfactory is a translation for dukkha, or more commonly translated as suffering. And soulless, or anatta, non-self. So all things, all compound things, have these 3 characteristics. They are ever changing. They do not last forever. If you attach to them, they bring suffering, and they are not part of any permanent self. That's the 3 characteristics of existence. So when you use the 6 factors on whatever happens, whatever exists, that all things are impermanent, unsatisfactory, soulless. They are not me. They are not mine. They are not myself. This helps you to develop the right view of things. This is something that was taught to me by Bhante Silananda at Bhavana Society. So, any, I guess, questions or comments before we wrap up? For those of you who have my YouTube channel, I've caught up on adding all of the recent talks onto the channel, and I should hopefully get this talk up probably in the next couple days. I'm gonna start a series based on, it's basically gonna be like a video blog or vlog, whatever they call it, based on my thoughts and actions related to me possibly going into becoming a monk in the next couple of years. So I think that's going to be something that might be helpful for others who are thinking about doing the same thing, and also something for me to look back on and to understand. So if you'd like to check out that stuff, you can check out my YouTube channel. Other than that, I guess we can end for today. And thank you all for attending and participating. It's always great when everybody participates, because then it turns into something that we can all learn from. So, yes, yay! No dukkha when it comes to the mic this time. So, until next time, Dhamma friends, much metta to you all, and Sukhi Hantu, may you be happy.